So I wanted to make a video comparing these two abilities for hunter pets. This is focused on classic and TBC hunters. The idea is to provide insights about which of the two combinations, either claw or both bite and claw, they give the most DPS. This is pretty much for min-maxing purposes. I have used a theoretical study based on Excel, so this is not tested in game. The assumptions, I will describe them later on, but they are quite important. And again, because these are my assumptions, they should be taken with a pinch of salt. This is not meant to be giving specific values of DPS, so it's more about the trend and the comparison of both abilities. I have used the highest rank for Classic, but still I believe the insights might be useful for TBC. The normal pets that give you that have both abilities are the cats, raptors, bears, and carrion birds. I know Go in TBC has the same focus as Claw, which is 25. So this study can be used in terms of the usage of the focus. However, in DPS will be pretty different because Go has a 50% of chance to crit. The cooldowns, this is pretty straightforward. Claw is a focus down, so I have only considered 1.5 seconds from the global cooldown. However, Bite is 10. I am considering also untalented focus regeneration. I know in the Beast Mastery trees in Classic and also on the marksmanship, there are abilities, talents that increase the focus regeneration, but just for the sake of this study, I used plain 24.5 focus every 4 seconds. Also, to isolate the comparison between these two abilities, I will not include any other abilities such as growl, dash, dive, which is the normal case in when raiding. Some people use dive, some people remove it just to maximize the DPS. But because of the way I am isolating the DPS abilities, maybe the values are more applicable for raids. However, I still believe they can be useful for leveling and PvP. Another way to isolate the effects is to consider average values for both bite and claw. So I will also include this 90 damage for bite every time it's going off and 51 for claw. I'm using a time span of 60 seconds, which I believe is quite useful for both PvP and PvE. And this is the sensitive part of the study. I am considering that in terms of the focus preference, every time there is enough focus, bite will go off first. I know this is not always the case. I have seen people playing where normally if they have, for instance, a carrion bird, I've seen the claw ability going off first, and later on at some point, which happens, appears to me random, bite is triggered. Also, I have read on Reddit, people, they don't really know, they cannot forecast this behavior. Some people say that the game will use one as a preference depending on the way you place the abilities on the pet bar, but I haven't confirmed this. So this is one of the key assumptions of my study, that bite, as long as there is enough focus, will be triggered first, which makes sense because if claw was preferential as a focus dump, would leave very little focus for bite. So these are the results once I put all the, the abilities going off on the first 60 seconds. You can see a clear DPS increase for the combination of both abilities. Claw goes afterwards, which makes sense, and I decided to include Bite as well on the plot for comparison level purposes, and also for anyone interested in leveling. If we isolate the effect, the comparison of the combination of both versus only claw, it can be seen how in the beginning, in the first global cooldown, there is an increase of almost 40%, but over time it decreases up to, I would say, almost 10% in the long run. The focus pool, this is pretty straightforward. Makes sense to see that the byte only has a 65 focus pool always available, which makes it very useful for leveling. When leveling, the fact of depleting the focus is not the main purpose. I think having always growl available or any other ability is more important. However, Claw leaves 20 focus, more or less, which it might be good if you use any random growl if you have it on key binds, but I will describe later that it might be a little bit dangerous. And the combination of both abilities, as can be seen, is depleted after 12 seconds normally here, which is ideal for raiding or PvP. Conclusions, pretty much what I just said. The combination of both will be giving a higher DPS at the beginning, in the first, let's say, 12 seconds. And as the DPS goes on, will converge to a flat 10% over time. This behavior is especially efficient for PvP, where combat times are normally shorter than 60 seconds. And in rates, it's still useful because it's a 10% net increase, which can be improved with the aforementioned three talents like from Beast Mastery and Go for the Throat in TBC. And also, as I said, after 12 seconds, the focus will be completely depleted, which is the ideal behavior for pure DPS purposes. So that's pretty much PvP and raid scenarios. If we consider only Claw, as I said, is the DPS is a value which is higher than Bite, but lower than the combination of both, and leaves a margin of 20 focus. And as I mentioned before, this might be a little bit tricky when using Growl on autocast when leveling up, because as a focus dam will deplete your focus, and if you get anything else than 1 versus 1, your pet might be unable to pull any aggro, and bite only for the sake of leveling. I was surprised to see that it still gives a pretty good DPS at the beginning, smaller than the other two, but still good enough. But still gives a good value of focus if you want to combine any other ability, such as the Fury's Howl, Thunderstorm from the Gorilla. So pets with those abilities will not benefit as much from the focus regeneration talent points described before, because there will be always an excess of it. And that's pretty much it. Hope you liked it. These are my assumptions, and if you have any comments, any suggestions, or any clarification points about the way the abilities are triggered, please feel free to let me know. Cheers. Bye bye.